Hey fellas, and welcome back to With a Y, and today I have something a little different for you. Well, actually, it's not that different. It's still, me talking about random topics with miscellaneous gameplay in the background, with occasional visuals on screen that may or may not have to do with the topic at hand, but in this case, the subject matter of the discussion is a little different. I want to get a little theological with you, a little philosophical, perhaps. Today, I want to talk about what is your favorite deadly sin? The truth of the matter is, we are guilty of every single one of these, whether you believe in Christianity or them as, like, the worst of the worst sins to begin with. Almost all of us, I don't want to speak for everybody, but experience these in some capacity. Even lust is not explicitly sexual. If you happen to be aromantic or asexual, you can still lust after something you want, which some people can say has some overlap with envy, but even in the sexual sense, it already has the overlap. You can lust after something and want something really bad without the jealousy of somebody else having it, I think at least. The thing that brought up this discussion topic to me was this tweet where a guy's like, I now have a whole collection of these, and we're gonna go through all of them, but let's go through wrath as the example, because it looks like this every single time. What sin do you relish the most? Wrath. How righteous! My fury is justified. My anger is pure. You wear vengeance like armor, but it corrodes from within. You will become what you aim to destroy. And I like how it frames these, where Squidward is always kind of endorsing or at least encouraging whatever the guy says his favorite sin is, because fury can be righteous, and it can be channeled into a just path. Wrath can be used to punish the wicked in hopes of even bettering them as people and helping them repent for their wrongdoings. But then it presents the other side of the argument, where if you let yourself become too engrossed in any singular tool, then you may fall to your own hubris in that. Then you may end up falling to your own blade in that moment. And what I like about it the most is that the prose here isn't like too bad, if a little faux biblical, as if somebody is trying to sound like they were translating from an old language that doesn't really get used anymore, when it's very clear that English is their first language and they're going off already translated text without knowing what the original said. Doesn't matter. This guy has made the argument for relishing wrath already, so let's see what he has next. What sin do you relish the most? I'm not gonna lie, I love that in the screenshot you can see the little symbol in Apple Photos that shows that he has just an album of these, man. He's collecting these and has them ready to pull up to show at a dinner table whenever he needs to. Imagine living the world through reaction images you've collected because it is the best way you found to express your emotions, somebody else putting it into words for you, and you being able to pull up the wording somebody else came up with at any time. Very convenient, very smart, I think. What sin do you relish the most? Greed? I feel like greed can kind of be seen as the blanket term for the rest of the seven deadly sins. It obviously has its own very specific definition, but do the rest of these not somehow fall under wanting more of something? I want what's mine, and theirs, and his, and yours. I don't know how to tell you this, man, but Squidward has like fuck all in his life. He's like a mediocre clarinet player. Sure, he has a nice like 2-story townhouse, but his neighbors suck. The thing about greed is wanting what other people have, not realizing that what they have and taking it onto yourself comes with all the detriments of having those things. In fact, the more you take, the less you have. You will starve surrounded by gold. And it's true, in the exchange of goods, no matter how much you want money, money is only as good as what it can get you. In an inherently capitalist society, you must part with something in order to gain more. Sometimes it's seen as an investment, but you might not always be getting your return back on that, and I think that's something to think about if you are a bag chaser. I say this with self-awareness in my heart, as one of these said bag chasers, rise and grinders, you might even call me. I find myself motivated to chase the residuals, but I have to make sure that I keep sight of my own other wants in life, because there is more to want than want itself. I surely want much for my own self, but I want things for others as well. I feel that people should be able to indulge in their own greed, and in order to do that, it means having to curtail your own and other people, especially when they will not relinquish it themselves. How do you feel about the philosophical talk? I told you that all these videos are bullshitting, and I'm doing my best here to keep with that same motif, even though it is like of a substantially different subject matter than usual. What sin do you relish the most? Envy. And honestly, I find this so far to be the most respectful of these sins to be okay with having, understanding that you want what other people have in life, and Squidward agrees with this. How inspiring. You might envy what other people have, but if that motivates you to actually do things and earn them yourself, I feel like that is a very respectable outlook on the world to have. That said, it can also be self-destructive and curtail your own ability to chase the things you truly want. I see what others have, and I ache to take it for myself. Again, this is where it kind of falls into greed being the umbrella for the rest of these sins. Like, envy can be good if you seek to attain it for yourself without taking it from someone else. Unless, you know, it's agreed upon that you give them some proper compensation for it. You're willing to part with something in order to get something else, which I believe is where the differentiation between envy and greed is not wholly the same comes from. There are certain things in life everybody will want more than other things, and if you can find someone willing to trade, whether this is in a more literal sense with money and commerce, or with emotional exchanges and being able to give part of yourself for someone to give part of themselves themselves to you. That is where envy can be a useful tool for self-betterment. Take it in the words of Squidward, your gaze lingers too long on others' light. In time, you will forget how to kindle your own. And is that not the takeaway of all of these? It is okay to feel these things and want what other people have, but you must not forget that you must create things of your own as well. You come into this world with nothing, and if you have not the ability to create, how will you ever have anything to give to others in order to get the things that you want for yourself? Dude, I am so good at bullshitting. This is ridiculous. I'm on a roll right now. What sin do you relish the most? Lust. And Squidward describes this by saying, how tender, because lust is not an inherently destructive emotion. Some people describe themselves as having a lust for life, to see everything they can in this world and its place they are born into before they are inevitably snuffed out of it entirely. I feel for touch, to feel alive again, and I find this to be the fish's best reasoning for why he feels these things so much. Longing for the touch of another does not mean this can't be a reciprocal relationship. It's not inherently selfish on its own, it can be at the same time selfless. You can lust for better things for all, you can lust for a better world, in the same way you can lust for things that more are in line with the sin of greed. If you haven't heard it before, there is a fan theory that the 7 main characters in SpongeBob are each of themselves, based off of one of the 7 deadly sins. And SpongeBob is described as lust because he seeks the friendship of those around him, to enrich his life and hopefully enrich theirs as well, to engage with the gift of sentience and the ability to experience that we are all bestowed. And because we all have it, it's hard to realize that it is a privilege to feel at all. You seek warmth in a fleeting fire. It will burn you hollow and leave you cold. And this is like where I make a pretty major departure with Squidward's reading of the situation. I don't think that the lust the fish expressed is really that bad, at least not on its own. It could be the first step on a very, very self-destructive journey, but Squidward makes the assumption that him wanting to feel alive again, to find something that makes living this life worth it, to be inherently negative. I can see the path he's afraid this guy will go on, but he's jumping to the worst possible conclusion of this journey before he's even heard the details of it. I think we're like 4 for 4 right now, guys. We're low-key on a roll. What sin do you relish the most? Sloth. How restful. It's true that every person, every living thing needs a time of pause. They need to sit down sometimes and take it all in. You can't always be going, and sloth is probably best used as a reprieve from indulging in the other sins. Envy can make you fight for the things you want in life. Lust can make you seek out the real meaning and the things that you find enjoyment in your lifetime with. But you will burn yourself out entirely of your ability to chase these things if you do not indulge in sloth at all. The grind set can certainly be a path towards better futures and better fortunes, but how will you be able to get on that treadmill long term if you never step off it to take a breather? Your lungs have a max capacity. You are taught to treat them well so that they can treat you better for longer. And Squidward describes this pretty artfully in just 2 words. How restful. It is good to rest when the moment calls for it, so that you may attack the new day with a renewed sense of passion. But it is important not to let rest become your entire being, or the world will entirely pass you by. The world moves too fast. I crave stillness, and I want no part in its frenzy. I think on its own, this is fine to have as like a conscious idea or thought, as long as you understand that this is not reality and it never will be. Even when you attain the fortunes in life and you are able to no longer fear for lack of food or never have to worry about finances again, there will still be issues in your personal life that you will be forced to confront. The creature and material comforts that wealth can provide are certainly bountiful and dopamine-inducing, but you are human. You were designed to live, to survive. And when the absolute need to is no longer there, your brain will find ways to make you think of other things you need to, whether it's the endless doom scroll of social media or other vicious cycle and recursive thoughts. Oh my, okay, I'm definitely hitting the end of my rope here, man. I'm talking straight dog shit right now. I thought I had something like adjacent to a point for like the last 4, but this is how going on for like 20-30 minutes non-stop can go. You can only be a fake-ass philosopher for so long before you realize you have no true thoughts of your own. And that's why I'm going to myself indulge in some sloth and lean on Squidward for his interpretation of events. Your apathy will rot your soul. Even the soul needs motion, lest it wither in place. I used the treadmill metaphor earlier when talking about this deadly sin, but I feel that life as a treadmill and as the metaphor is not so good. It's not even a racetrack, because even a racetrack will eventually loop back around and you will find yourself doing the same thing. Life is a marathon through an endless city that you will have to keep trudging through in hopes of reaching the end of. Even if you stop to take breaks, you must do so and look around you to see the bits and pieces that have passed you by in order to truly appreciate them. What sin do you relish the most? Pride. How noble. Pride has almost always stood out as, like, not the odd man out of the deadly sins, because it definitely falls into a lot of the same trappings we've already discussed, but in that it feels like a blanket statement that has much more nuance, because being proud of yourself is often a good thing. If you've proven to yourself you can accomplish the things you set out to do, it gives you more confidence that you can do so doing forward. And you can be proud of other people, of the people you've let into your life and have created meaningful relationships with, and be happy for what they have been able to do, which is completely antithetical to some of the other deadly sins. Instead of being envious, you can be happy and joyous that someone else has managed to accomplish something. But in the same way that pride can be directed outward and a positive influence on the lives of those you care about, when only directed inward with the complete disregard for everybody around you, then it becomes like a poison, an endless self-immolation that will eventually burn you to a crisp. I've carved myself from stone. I bow to no one. Pride in one's station in life does not inherently mean you put yourself beneath others, merely that you accept yourself for who you are. Be proud of the man or woman, or whatever is in between or outside of those two things, and know that you can brave the path forward. I would argue that pride checked without envy, without lust, without the realization or want to do more is what can truly rot you, thinking you are already done with the journey when you've barely begun, because when is the start truly in life? Even statues crack, and when you fall, no one will dare to catch you. And that's phrasing I like. Some people too proud to ask for help, or to have weakness at all and lean on others. It can be that no one will be there for you because you've pushed them away, or they are afraid of cracking your own pride by doing so. If this is your ultimate destination in life, that's what I find to be truly tragic about the sin. You'll notice that the way I describe these means they're like mostly neutral, and it's more on their application and execution that will change how they affect your life. Okay, one last to go. Home stretch, baby, home stretch. What sin do you relish the most? Gluttony. How delectable. The world has prepared me a vast banquet, and I would be a fool not to partake of it. And when the beast's flesh runs scarce, you would brandish your fangs against your fellow man. Beast too that you become. Oh, that's hard! That's hard! The thing is, even when you are given a feast, or you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet, there is a limit to what you can consume, and you must listen to your stomach, your body, when it tells you what that limit is. This can be used in a very literal sense, where it's like, don't overeat or your stomach will hurt and you'll get like big shits later, but also it can be used as a metaphor for indulging too much in any of the other sins. And that was the real lie of this video. I will not be ranking these sins, because there are sins when you indulge in one over the other. These are all parts of the human experience, and in many ways they act as counters and checks that balance out each other. Greed may be an umbrella, but the more specific definitions, that envy might be close to greed in some ways, can temper your want and its effect and its ability to destroy you. Do not run from your existence. Embrace it and understand how to best wield it and make use of it. Anyways, that's all I got. Be sure to tell me how dog shit or good my Tumblr ass pros were in the comments below. That kwytebox email will be in the description if you guys want to send me any video topics. Anyways, piss off.